In the depths of a distant era, before the floodwaters blanketed the earth, there existed a world that seemed to have sprung directly from the grandest of dreams. This was a planet immersed in supernatural peace, where life flowed with an almost celestial harmony. The fields stretched in verdant waves, the rivers meandered with crystal-clear waters, and the skies were of such a deep blue that they seemed to reflect eternity itself. Human beings lived in a state of simplicity and serenity, enjoying an intimate connection with creation and the Creator. Each sunrise brought a breath of hope, and each twilight served as a reminder of the world's beauty. However, beneath this surface of tranquility, a silent change was beginning to take shape. What seemed to be an untouched paradise was slowly preparing for an unexpected and devastating fate. As we delve into what was truly happening in this pre-flood world, you will be surprised by the revelations and secrets emerging from this ancient era. If you wish to continue exploring the layers of this fascinating story and understand better what led to the Great Transformation, subscribe to the channel. This will ensure you stay updated on all discoveries and delve deeply into every aspect of this remarkable narrative. As the first rays of sunlight touched the earth, the Garden of Eden stood as a testament to a perfect creation, a microcosm of purity and abundance. This sacred place was not merely a garden, but a haven of unparalleled beauty, where the harmony between all creatures and the environment was palpable. The animals lived without fear, the plants flourished in vibrant colors, and every element of the garden reflected the magnificence of the Creator. Adam and Eve, the first humans, walked among fruit-bearing trees and blooming gardens, enjoying the divine presence and a life free from suffering. They were the stewards of this creation, tasked with tending and cultivating Eden. It was a life of sublime simplicity, where the only need was to maintain the order and harmony established by God. Yet the Garden of Eden was not only a physical paradise. It was also the center of a profound spiritual relationship. Adam and Eve experienced a direct connection with God in an environment where divine will was clearly manifested and truth was easily understood. Each day was an opportunity to grow in wisdom and deepen communion with the Creator. However, this state of grace and perfection was soon to be challenged. As the story progresses, we will see how disobedience and a departure from the initial perfection led to the fall of man and the beginning of a series of events that would culminate in the great catastrophe. After the expulsion from Eden, humanity began a trajectory of expansion and growth that shaped the world as we know it. As Adam and Eve and their descendants spread across the earth, new communities and civilizations started to emerge. The first societies took form, and life began to reflect the complexities of existence beyond the garden. With the increase in population, cities and towns began to rise, each bringing its own culture and way of life. Rudimentary engineering allowed for the construction of more permanent structures, and agricultural practices became more sophisticated to sustain community growth. It was a time of innovation and discovery, but also of challenges, as humans struggled to adapt and thrive in an increasingly complex world. The advancement of civilizations brought with it a diversity of beliefs and practices, often diverging from the initial purity. Cultures developed their own systems of government, religions, and philosophies, reflecting the growing departure from the Edenic order. Although humanity was thriving in many respects, the growing distance from divine harmony began to manifest in visible forms of corruption and conflict. As civilizations grew and multiplied, the earth witnessed the transformation from a perfect creation to a world of complexity and, often, suffering. As civilizations expanded, the spiritual condition of humanity began to deteriorate. The direct and pure relationship with God, once a hallmark of human existence, was replaced by increasing corruption and disobedience. The practices and principles established in Eden began to disintegrate, giving way to behaviors and choices that challenged the divine order. Morality and justice, once unquestionable, became corrupted by the influence of sin. The departure from God was not limited to individual actions, but also manifested in entire institutions and societies that distorted truth and justice. Disrespect for divine laws became more common, and society was immersed in growing moral disorder. Alongside this spiritual deterioration, practices and cults emerged that deviated from divine instructions, often resulting in forms of worship and behavior that directly challenged what had been established in Eden. Ethics and integrity became rare concepts amid the growing influence of corruption. This reality of corruption and distancing reflected the growing departure from divine purpose and order, setting the stage for an inevitable judgment. To understand the depths of this transformation and how it connected to the monumental event that was about to unfold, stay with us. Subscribe to the channel to not miss any part of this revealing journey through the ages and the choices that shaped history. In this context of growing corruption and decay, the fallen angels played a crucial role in transforming the world. These celestial beings, who had rebelled against God, began to interact directly with humanity, sowing further chaos and perversion. Their presence on Earth brought a corrosive influence that exacerbated the already existing corruption. The fallen angels, known as the Nephilim in biblical tradition, not only sought to divert humans from God, but also engaged in practices that crossed the bounds of divine morality. They introduced teachings and behaviors that distorted established principles, mixing the sacred with the profane and fueling the spiritual and moral decay that was already taking over the earth. These celestial beings triggered a series of events and actions that deepened the chasm between humanity and the Creator. Their influence manifested in various forms, from introducing perverted ritualistic practices to intensifying violence and injustice. The impact of their presence was visible in every aspect of life, reflecting an even deeper deterioration of divine standards. As the fallen angels corrupted the earth, the need for divine judgment became increasingly evident. To fully understand how these forces influenced the state of humanity and led to the critical point that preceded the flood, one must explore this profound connection. With the spiritual and moral deterioration of humanity and the growing influence of the fallen angels, the environmental condition of the earth also began to reflect the spiritual crises. Although nature continued to exist with its inherent beauty, signs of a profound transformation were present. The vast fields and forests, once lush and thriving, started to show signs of degradation. The ecological balance, which had been carefully maintained, was being disrupted by corrupted human actions and practices. Pollution, excessive exploitation of natural resources, and disrespect for divine creation were now evident, resulting in visible environmental changes. Rivers, once clear and serene, displayed signs of pollution and siltation. Forests, which had once stretched in impenetrable density, began to shrink and become less healthy due to rampant exploitation and destruction. The earth, which had been a model of balance and beauty, was now witnessing the effects of the moral and spiritual disorder prevailing among humans. This environmental decline was not just a consequence of human actions, but also a manifestation of the spiritual state of the earth. The environment was in tune with the corruption and decay affecting humanity, heralding the need for a radical purification to restore order and harmony. As moral and environmental deterioration became increasingly evident, God began to signal the imminence of judgment. The signs that something grand and catastrophic was approaching became clearer and more unavoidable. The divine warnings were not only visible in the physical degradation of the planet, but also manifested through messages and signs directed at humanity. Prophets and messengers began to appear, delivering warnings about the coming flood. These warnings were accompanied by natural signs and events that defied ordinary explanation, such as extreme climate changes and unusual atmospheric phenomena. These signs served as a way for God to draw humanity's attention and offer an opportunity for repentance and change, even in the face of a seemingly desperate situation. Despite these clear signs, most people continued to ignore or mock the warnings. Spiritual distance and corruption had deepened to the point that few were willing to listen and change. The result was a growing resistance to the divine call, setting the stage for an event that promised to be a watershed moment in human history. The signs of imminent judgment were a clear indication that the earth was about to be purified, and that spiritual and moral disorder would be confronted in a dramatic way. Finally, the decisive moment arrived. The judgment that had been announced and predicted became an inescapable reality. The divine decision to cleanse the earth of corruption and sin was executed through the flood, a cataclysmic event that covered the planet with devastating waters. The magnitude of the deluge was such that no stone was left unturned, purifying the earth and ending an era of decay. The waters rose, swallowing cities and towns, and the world, as we knew it, was transformed into a sea of chaos and destruction. Only Noah, his family, and the animals he had gathered in the ark survived, preserving the remnants of creation for a new era. This event not only marked the end of an era of corruption, but also the beginning of a new opportunity for humanity to start anew. The flood served as a significant milestone in biblical history, symbolizing divine judgment and renewal. At the same time, it was a powerful reminder of God's power and justice, and the need to live in accordance with His principles. The earth, now washed and renewed, was ready to enter a new phase of creation and life, with deep lessons about the need for repentance and change. Therefore, the flood was not just a catastrophe, but also a moment of hope and new beginnings, offering humanity the chance to build a future more aligned with divine will.